9:30 a.m. Texas time too, Central Time. It's time for Coffee on the Porch. My name is Eric Folkerth, and you have stumbled on a weekly live stream that I've done for years. An hour-long conversation about music, politics, spirituality, life, the intersection of those things. Welcome to Coffee on the Porch. Come on in, the water's fine. Beautiful chord. Listen to that beautiful chord, y'all. Well, I thought I might like this mic higher, but it's in my face. So no, never mind. I'm not going to put it up there. Hi, welcome you guys. It is 9:30. It's time for Coffee on the Porch. Was here almost on time, I think. Close to it. Close enough. As close as I'm ever going to get. Welcome. Welcome to you all. This is Coffee on the Porch. We've been here on Substack for a few months now. This is a live stream that I started some years ago over on the Book of Face. Oh man, that was a long time. It feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? I'm going to share this live stream with my own feed. Would love for you to do that so that people find us over here. Where's the Facebook share? Oh, there it is. Interesting. I wonder if Apple's hiding that. Join us now, how about, I'm going to say, as I share this over on Facebook. We've been over here. We're having a good time on Substack. I think we've adjusted well. You guys who are our regular viewers, thank you for making that jump again. You've been very gracious about it, and I think it's worked out well. I think it's a good platform for us. Let me go ahead and say hi to all of you who are here. Good morning, Tara Lang down in Brownwood. Good morning, Nancy Bryant up in FOCO, Fort Collins, Colorado. I see your better half is also here. Good morning, Mary Harrison, Susan Williams. Welcome, Susan. Good morning, Debbie Berger. Somebody, I think, said happy birthday to you. Oh, there it is. You said happy birthday, Debbie. Happy birthday. Good morning. Tara says good morning. Good morning to Linda and to Blue Bunny. Good morning to Dan Gilliam. Good morning to Cat Bird, who is here. Good. You guys are joining in. Good morning, Sally Hoover. Pretty close to me, very likely. Starkville, Mississippi. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder, Susan. I think you've told us this before. Yes. Welcome, friends. Glad you're coming in. Glad you're finding us this morning on this fine Tuesday morning. September 9th, 09/09/25. It's September. I'm excited about that. I love September. Those of you who are long-term viewers know it's our birthday month in our family. For myself, it was my mother's birthday month, my aunt's, my cousin, my grandmother, and my daughter. So a heck of a lot of us in September. So Debbie, I join you early in the fun FOCO NOCO. What's NOCO? Is that the county? What's the county you're in? Good morning, Peg Davis. Welcome to you. Anyway, birthday month is fun. Yeah, we're starting up. Maria's got her birthday coming up next weekend. She's got friends coming over. It's going to be great. She's going to have a good time with some of her friends. Hey, y'all, let's go ahead and... Hey, Paula, welcome. Welcome. Glad to see your face. Glad to see your name. I'm not seeing your face. Let's go ahead and jump right in, shall we? Let's get going. we don't need to spend too much time. What was I trying to do? Oh, I'm trying to change this over here so I can remind you about the reminders. Foco, Northern Colorado. Got it. Good morning, Carol Ann. Welcome to you, my friend. Foco, Noco. Got it. We have a way for you to get reminded of this gathering, if you wish, via text messages. And that is something that you can find at this link. You could scan that QR code and go there right now if you want. And that is a way we send out a little reminder at 9 a.m. so that people can find us live. Now, Substack does a super nice job of reminding you at the moment. But, maybe you're running around, you go, oh, damn, I can't get there. I need a few minutes. So if you need a little nudge ahead of time, that's what this is for. So feel free to sign up for that. Okay, let's get started. Let's get going. Time for the coffee. I'm still drinking the Onyx. I'm back to the Onyx. I've been back with Onyx for a couple of months now. My traditional coffee on the porch coffee, my favorite coffee in the world. Gonna pour myself a big cup. Get yourself a big cup of whatever you're drinking, tea, coffee, matcha, kombucha. I don't know. What do you drink in the morning? Coke? Cheers, friends. Mine has to have caffeine in it. I don't know about you, but I got to have the caffeine. And I did already manage to have a cup or two this morning, so I'm caffeinated enough this morning. So we sit here for a moment. We gather wherever we are. Some of you, as you've heard, we're from all sorts of different states. And we just sit with our coffee live here and we say, well, how's our soul? How are we doing? How are we feeling about this world of ours? How's everything going for you? Breathe deeply. Take a sip. Sit back and think about this. You like the T-shirt? I'm repping the Rock Hammer to the Stone T-shirt, my record that came out last year. Because why wouldn't I? If I'm not going to wear it, how can I expect anybody else to? That's what I say. So, hey, Linda Green, welcome. So, leave me a comment in terms of answering this question. Here's the question on the floor. Question on the floor is, how is your soul? How are you? How are you this morning on the 9th of September, 2025? There's a lot happening in our world. We say that every week. And every week it feels differently true in a way. But I'm just going to noodle on the guitar a bit while you leave us your comments. How is your soul? How would you answer that question today? Good morning, Linda Waring. Ah, that's a song I will play for you momentarily, y'all. Okay, excellent. How is your soul? How are you doing? Take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. Carol Ann's saying she likes this. I'm just going to skip back to what she's saying here. My favorite thing you do is the breathe in, breathe out. I find my soul is not quite as weary to be, oh no, yeah, is weary. So all good today. Excellent. Fantastic. Fantastic. You know, we do that in worship at Kessler Park. The very first thing as after I welcome people, before we have opening music or prayer or anything, is I invite people to center themselves in that space. Why? Because I know they've just rushed in the door. Yes, they've run in from home. They've got kids. They're stressed. They think they left the stove on, whatever. You know, people, we're all rushing. We're all rushing. We're addicted to our freaking phones. We just saw the headlines on the New York Times, whatever. We're running a million different places. And so, yeah, Kat and all of you, we need that centering back down and in, turning in, so that we can know and feel, how are we today? And so we can be present. Being present in the present is such a gift and so important and such a hard thing to remember to do. I think for all of us. For all of us, it's a hard thing to do. All right, let me see what you're saying. Tara says, my soul is anxiety. Tara, I'm so very sorry about that. Robert Berger says this. Bobby Berger up in Plano. I don't know if you guys are on the porch. Man, probably should have been on the porch, y'all. Oh, 66 degrees out there. Wow. Yeah, this is the window, Eric, if you're going to do it. If you're going to get back out there, now's the time. It's so easy, though, y'all. It's so easy to be here. I'm telling you. It just makes my life... It's a 45 minute, it's an hour and a half out of my day to be outside, and it's doable. It's just these days I don't have an extra hour and a half, I guess. All right, but man, I really need to be back out there just for old time's sake at some point. All right, Bobby Berger says this: troubled by the summit with 12. Oh, she. Putin and Indian Prime Minister. The U.S. was passed on. We're beginning to be non-influential in the world. We are concerned with all the nonsense. Yeah, you know, be careful, Donald Trump, because while you are bloviating to one direction, there are all sorts of other actors choosing other things. Yes. What I get concerned about with that, Bobby, is that all of these people, you're saying we're beginning to be passed over. Yes. And all of these that you've mentioned tend to be more autocratic. What's really getting passed over right now are the democracies of the world. And we have power dynamics going on in the world that are troubling. And as you're saying, plenty of ways it doesn't even include us Americans. Paula says this: 9-month, 9th day, my soul is filled with love for my little granddaughter, Sahana. Yes, fantastic. I'm happy to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that. And it's always good to see you. And we're thinking about all of you in Chicago, y'all. We're all. Put your good thoughts toward Bryn and the good people of Chicago as they push back against the lie that their city is in chaos. It's no more in chaos than LA was, or Washington was, or Dallas, or any other big city. Big cities are not chaotic messes, but they are different. And they're being otherized by this administration. So big prayers to you guys. Linda Waring is saying, my soul is discouraged. I've been trying to inform people about polio vaccines. Polio vaccines. No one should want their children to be like I am at 81 years old and almost ready to quit walking. But people aren't listening. I'm just an old lady, but I'm an old lady who had polio before there was a vaccine. And I remember the anxious parents and kids who were so desperately wanted vaccines to be developed. Oh, Linda, thank you for sharing that. And I know that all of this ridiculousness over vaccines has got to really be hitting close to home. Let me tell you a story of empathetic solidarity. One of the most beautiful and spiritual people I've ever known was a woman named Carol Carsey. At my former church, she was the head of our, basically our personnel committee, what we call the staff parish committee. She lived in Oak Cliff, actually. I drive past her old house all the time. She's now passed on. But Carol got polio when she was 12. She got it months before the vaccine was widely distributed. Seem familiar? And so she ended up a quadriplegic. Carol was a quadriplegic in a wheelchair with only the motion of a few fingers on one hand. And she somehow had this remarkable motorized wheelchair and a portable breathing apparatus that always went with her. It almost, just not an insult, but it almost sounded like Darth Vader breathing in and out, except she was a beautiful soul. She really was one of the most beautiful souls. But I remember being at her house, and over the mantle of her fireplace with her husband, Willie, and her, she had a picture of herself, a painting that was painted just before she contracted polio, a beautiful 12-year-old girl with her future ahead of her. Now, she lived a long time. She had a marvelous life, but as you well know, Linda, it was a lot harder than it would have been without polio. So, yeah, we're in a bad place, and I cannot believe there are so many lessons from our past, so many basics of our past that we are abandoning right now in America. It is stunning. So, big prayers for you, Linda. I hope that helps. I hope that story of solidarity helps you, my friend. Catbird says this, feeling a little sad and wistful reading through the letters of my ex who recently passed that he wrote to his mother in 83, 84 when he was going to school at University of Oklahoma in Norman. He was funny, brilliant writer, and I'm sad I never knew this part of him. I think he could have had a successful writing career. Oh, that's beautiful, Kat. That is painful, isn't it? We learn a lot about our loved ones after they're gone, don't we? Sometimes. And, yeah. Prayers that you can sit with that and sit with the learnings that you have. This is a bit like a memorial service, isn't it, for you to go back and look through this stuff and process the parts that you didn't know of his life. We all kind of do that after people die. We learn things about them. They keep teaching us one way or the other. Bobby Berger says, we are on the porch with coffee on the porch mugs. These mugs right here is what Bobby and Debbie have on their porch. 63 degrees in Foco. We're just beating you by 3 degrees, Nancy. It's 66 here right now. Joni Mitchell had polio, as Nancy reminds us. Good morning, Linda Roberta Hibbs. Dave, I have not heard this, David. Troubled by the Israeli strike today on Hamas in Qatar. Is that Qatar you meant? Or Qatar? Feeling that any chance of peace is delayed again, especially if they got the chief negotiator on the verge of a deal. Does Israel even want a deal? That's a damn good question. That is a damn good question. Oh, my. Okay. 72 in Ohio. Well, it's cool everywhere. Oh, it just happened, David said. Okay. I hadn't heard this. Well, thank you for that breaking news. That's tough. That's tough stuff. Okay, friends, thank you for sharing what's going on in your worlds this week. I'm going to tell you a bit of what's going on with me and what's going on in my world. And I guess I'm going to start here. I didn't know where I was going to start with a bit of an announcement. I know I told you last year that I was done with all my old songs when I put out this record, Rock Hammer to the Stone, last November. So recently I set about to start working on some new songs. And I found that I still kept getting pulled back to some of the other old ones, some of the ones that didn't make that record. And but there's a long tortured story about why they didn't make the record. I told it, I wrote about it. I thought that a lot of the old recordings were gone. And they were gone. That is not a lie. They were gone. They are gone. A lot of the tracking and recording that we did years ago is vanished, and I had just kind of given up on them. Well, I said to myself 2 weeks ago, I said, "But Eric, I wonder, you've got these. Hang on. You got these boxes of old CDs back in the back room." Back in the closet. And then you've got these. You remember these? These where we used to put CDs in these? You may not have had one this big. Where you put old CDs, you save them. What I forgot was back in the day when we recorded, we would save these. Oh, here's one I need right here. We would save our work. Not on a hard disk or a cloud, but on CDs. And so in part of this investigation, I found these 4 CDs specifically. Look what that says. I don't know if you can see that. These are our very first sessions from back in 2004, these purple CDs. I had these. I had the original tracks. The tracks, part of the tracks, I thought was a lot of other stuff did disappear, stuff that we did later from that, and so I had just sort of given up on a lot of that stuff. So I decided not to give up on it. This is Linda saying this right now. Don't give up your music. I won't. I'm not, Linda. This is what I'm in the middle of saying right now. So. Sometime soon, very soon, because some of these are done already. I'm going to put out a record this fall, maybe around my birthday if I can swing it. And this is what it's going to be called: Unfinished Business, because that's what these songs are to me. Unfinished business, and it's honoring my own past of a few decades ago. Look at that picture. That's me on the left in about 2002, and that's me on the right last week. Unfinished business, y'all. Coming soon to a streaming service near you. How about that? How about that for news? Never thought I'd do it, I got to tell you. Thought I was done. Thought it wasn't going to happen. But I'm super happy that it is happening. Very grateful. So, yeah, unfinished business. 14 songs. Now, what's going to happen here? If you remember the story, there were 3 records that were supposed to come out. So now that's going to be about, with this and Rock Hammer to the Stone, that's going to be about 30 songs. That's the 3 records. So I'm going to end up putting out most of that stuff, and I'm super excited to share it with you. So thank you for sharing in my excitement. More news soon. It'll be a little more low-key than last time. I'm just going to put it out there. I just want it out there. I want it in the world loose. And then I will 100% be done with all that old stuff, because it'll all be gone. Welcome, James. It is cool enough. I said that earlier, James. I said, yes, it is 100% cool enough to be out there. I just couldn't couldn't find the time to organize all my stuff out there. Okay, let's get going. Reminder to come see us at Kessler Park on a Sunday. We always have a lot of kids and families. It's super exciting now still to see see what's going on here. I'm going to stop for a minute to address what Nancy Bryant said. I see a lot of my friends posting about James Tallarico, ? What do Porchers think about him? I've always liked Colin, but it looks like there's going to be a big primary race. Allegedly, he's going to announce today that he is running. And I'm going to tell you, I'm for it. I'm for it. He is galvanizing and energizing people in a way that few politicians have. That's just my observation. If you look at the events that he's held, you may recall that a year ago this Sunday, he was our guest preacher at Kessler Park. And I like how he speaks to a very broad segment of the electorate, but he is very, very firm and passionate about his values. And I like that. And I'm very admiring for that. Yes, David, am planning on doing CDs. So yes, Nancy, sounds like there's going to be a big primary, and I'm here for it. I got to tell you. And Colin Allred was my member of Congress. He's a good United Methodist. Member of Greenland Hills, right up the street. But I think I'm going to be Team Tallarico, pretty sure. So anyway, that's what's happening around here, Nancy. Stay tuned. I think he's going to announce tonight, is what I've heard. Anyway, come see us at Kessler Park. That's where we were a minute ago. And this Sunday, a year ago, we had James Tallarico on the 14th of September. This year, we're going to have Reverend Keith Boone. Reverend Keith Boone is a United Methodist pastor who grew up at Kessler Park. And he was formed by Kessler Park. And this is the big kickoff of our 100-year anniversary celebration. We will have Keith this Sunday, and then we will have a very big, big celebration 1 month from now. This is a picture of that. So 2 Sundays in the next month, we are going to be celebrating 100 years of Kessler Park. On the 19th of October, that's the big Sunday. We want everybody who's close to come on and visit us and celebrate with us. We'll be out on the lawn with a big picnic lunch by La Comida, food by La Comida, our dear friends close by. We have several of our former senior pastors who've confirmed they'll be with us. Wes Magruder, Tim McLemore, Joette Goolsby, hopefully more as well. We have some bounce house, fun things for the kids. So really, really big Sunday on the 19th of October. But it all kicks off this week as we honor the long-term families of our church, as we remember those who grew up and were launched by Kessler Park, those who are still with us and those who've gone on other places. So come on and visit us Sunday. I'm very excited about this. I think it's going to be wonderful. Also, Wednesday Night Live starts back. This is our program on Wednesday nights, 2 nights from now. We will be over there in the forest at Kessler Park, Roberts Forest. Y'all, in the spring, the last time we had Wednesday Night Live, we had 65 elementary aged and roughly elementary aged. We say pre-K and up. It's really mostly for elementary aged kids. That's the wheelhouse of it. And I am very excited about this. And please pray for Pastor Kay Ash, because she worked all summer with our camps. She had 2 weeks to breathe, and now here we are. Starting with the fall, it's going to get crazy. It's going to be fun. It's going to be crazy, fun, insanity, and I'm here for it. So Nancy Bryant just following up, and David also agrees that he loves James Tallarico. He's a breath of fresh air. I'll probably talk about him next. If he does announce, I'll talk about James a bit next week. He's a breath of fresh air. We need to appeal to crossover voters without compromising our progressive values. And he speaks to faith, which is why I like him, because I've only been saying this for 30 years, that the Democratic Party still needs to speak to faith. The majority of Democratic voters in every presidential election identify as some kind of Christian, including Unitarians, by the way. But yes, the most fastest growing number is none of the above, but Christians are still, some kind of Christian, are still the majority of Democrats as well. So yeah, we have to speak to the whole human. We have to speak to everybody. We have to cross over to everybody. Regardless of who wins the primary, Nancy says, we need everybody back in the general election for sure. We also need energy and excitement. And, I've believed since 2016 that the Democratic Party needed to get much younger. And this will definitely do that. Tallarico is generationally younger than just about anybody in the Senate, I think. So, okay, well, friends, I want to take you on a little journey here in the next few minutes and tell a story. It's a story that I'm writing. It's a story that I promised that I would write to myself, for myself. We all are processing our pasts, even as we are living in traumatic times today. And I am looking back a lot at some of the lowest points of my own life and what they might teach me. Earlier, we were talking about being centered. I'm going to talk about being centered today, but I am going to talk about what it means to pray and to release the things we can't control. Because, man, is there a lot that we can't control right now. And I'm going to start by telling you the story of this picture and this beautiful place. And the moment that I sat in this beautiful place and I absolutely cried my eyes out. I cried heaving, sobbing tears. It was 10 years ago, last month, the first part, about a month ago, 10 years ago, August of 2015. And this scene, this is Espada, Mission Espada. It is the lowest church, the farthest church on a 7-mile mission trail in San Antonio. If you don't know about this, you probably heard about the Alamo if you're not from Texas. The Alamo was a Spanish mission from way back, from the 1700s, I believe it dates. But the Spanish had a series of missions that came up the San Antonio River. And thankfully, many of them are either still there or there are ruin sites that are still there. And I don't even know when this happened, but some years ago, there was a hike-bike trail that was put in along the San Antonio River. It's beautiful. If you ever get a chance to cycle it, what's great about cycling it, you could walk it, I suppose. That's a long walk. That's a 14-mile round trip, But cycling it, it's pretty level. It allows you to get in the whole thing and to visit all these mission churches and to start in the bustling heart of San Antonio, right in the heart of a beautiful American city, at the Alamo, the soul of that city, that old mission. Then wind your way through the city streets, across Villita, and then down onto the trail and along the river. And then you move along the river, and it's as if you're moving back through time. And the final place you get to here is Espada, 7 miles down, and it's this beautiful old ruin. There's my bike, by the way, right there. I love it because I feel like history falls away, you're still in the middle of San Antonio, but there's something about doing it from the river where you have this sense of that little ribbon of historical place. So I had been in San Antonio for two events, a thing called Gather at the River, which was a United Methodist event. But before that, Denise always had there is still to this day, a family law gathering there that is often there in San Antonio along the Riverwalk. Man, the family lawyers know how to party. So San Antonio Riverwalk's the perfect place for them. So often for many years, I would go to that event, and it several times coincided with reconciling ministry events that happened right after it. So I would spend almost a week or week and a half in San Antonio. I just finished those events for that year. This was a very emotional year for me. My dear mentor, Bill McIlvaney, he had just died the August before, and I was really missing him. And my father was suffering from pulmonary fibrosis and would be dead in that November, just a few months, and I could see it coming. I knew it was coming. That was the personal stuff that I was grieving, but there was more than this that I was grieving as well. And so I got to Espada, and I did what we say that we're going to do here every week, which is I breathed in and I breathed out, and I sat there and I started praying some prayers, and I just found myself, I think I was alone. There was no one else there. And I just found myself sobbing, heaving tears that would not stop. I was sweating. It was 97 degrees out that day. So the salt of my tears and the salt of my sweat all kind of combined together in this real moment of emotional catharsis. But this was, in my mind, my lowest point in ministry ever was this moment. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why it was the lowest moment. Now, things are a lot better now. I'm in a better place. The United Methodist Church, as you know, is in a much better place. But we didn't know any of that back then. At that moment, we in the United Methodist Church were still struggling over issues of human sexuality. And I was the pastor of one of the largest reconciling churches in Texas, in this whole South, honestly. And I could see how the conservatives were turning the screws every general conference. They were getting more, good morning, Janie. They were getting more and more harsh with their penalties. Meanwhile, our church was growing. The progressive church was flourishing. The progressive United Methodist churches were starting to pop up everywhere. But there was a big pressure to perform same-sex marriages. And if you remember back in June, I talked to you, this was the first story I told of this 10-year period, was the story of same-sex marriage being legalized and how joyful that was. And it was amazingly joyful. But I knew that the minute that happened, there would be pressure on those of us on the progressive left and a question as to, okay, people can get married under civil law. Why can't they get married in their United Methodist Church? Absolutely fair question. Absolutely fair question. And I knew that would become a flashpoint for churches like ours. And I knew that the denomination was moving in a more conservative direction. And I didn't really know what to do about it. And I also knew about these guys. This is the Reverend Frank Schaefer on the right. And this is my mentor, Reverend Bill McIlvaney, who as I mentioned, had just died the previous fall. This, I think, was 2013 when this picture was taken. Frank Schaefer, we fought the fight for marriage equality at our church because, as I told you, we had 17 legally same-sex married couples that have been married elsewhere. And as a pastor, I said to myself, how can I not provide this for them? Well, the answer for how I cannot was that I could lose my career. In those days, a United Methodist pastor could be defrocked for doing a same-sex marriage. And in fact, Frank Schaeffer had been defrocked. If you may remember this was on MSNBC. He was a bit of a national celebrity because he did the same-sex wedding for his son, and was later defrocked by his annual conference, the Pennsylvania annual conference. So he went on a little tour after this happened. This is after he had been defrocked. And we had him come to our church, and that's him meeting Bill. And it was very sobering to hear this witness. Meanwhile, we had this man, Bishop Melvin Talbert. Bishop Talbert was a United Methodist pastor who in 2012 had said to the United Methodist Church, yes, this is against the rules, but also, yes, it is biblically obedient for us to do these weddings anyway. So he did a same-sex wedding, and he was brought up on a charge. He was not defrocked. That's a long story, but he was not defrocked because that's held at the bishop's level, and they decided not to defrock him. But this was him as he came to North Haven, again, in 2014. 2014. He came to North Haven and spoke to us. On the heels of that, Bill McIlvaney was then inspired to do a same-sex wedding for our friends George and Jack. Some of you remember this wedding. That took place in 2014, a year ahead of Obergefell. And again, I was deeply, and Bill was dying. He would be dead with it. You can see he's sitting. He's sitting because he could not stand. And I love this picture on the right. It's Bill reaching out to this 50-year-long married couple, George and Jack. And he's reaching out to them in love as he does this wedding. So for me, this was becoming a pressure point. I knew that God was calling me to do same-sex weddings. I knew that my congregation wanted me to. We would then very soon be studying the issue of same-sex marriage, and we would vote to hold them, and I would hold them. But you have to understand that this was the last evidence I had of what happens to you if you perform a same-sex wedding. And I should tell you that my own bishop told me that it was likely that I would be defrocked. He told me that on the phone. He was very angry when we announced we were going to do weddings. His exact words to me is, they are going to come for your orders. He was not going to, but the conservatives would, and he would be put in the position of having to respond to the conservatives. So, but meanwhile, same-sex marriage is legal. So I'm thinking, naively, okay, this is something we can build on in the United Methodist Church. We can get together, we progressives, we can get together and go to the next General Conference, which was going to be in 2016, months after this time I'm talking about. So that's what Gather at the River was, this gathering in San Antonio in August of 2015. That's why I was in San Antonio. I was there for a progressive gathering, basically, to what I thought to strategize about General Conference 2016. Instead, when I got there, I found, and this is unsurprising, that the progressive movement in the United Methodist Church was in shambles, absolute shambles. There were different factions. There was no agreement on strategy, and there was no interest in working through the legislative system. Does that make any sense? To change things. We had always done this every time we had done this. I knew, because of all this history I've just described to you, that I would soon be doing same-sex weddings. And I knew that I was likely to be challenged by a conservative. By the way, one little more detail. I was going to refuse a friendly complaint. If I did a wedding, I was going to allow intentionally, as Bill McIlvaney did as well, was willing to do as well, I was going to allow conservatives to come after me. If they wanted to come after me, they could come after me. I was not going to shield myself in any way. That is true. That is what I ended up doing. So that was my plan, but I knew it could result in being out of a job. So my last hope was, as you might imagine, not only for the good of LGBTQ people, but also for the good of our denomination, that the progressives really push using this joy of same-sex marriage to go into 2016 unified. Instead, I got there and everybody was depressed. They were running in different directions. This is absolutely true. I went to a strategy session about General Conference because that's what I was interested in. And they basically said, we don't have the votes. We're not going to have the votes. Nothing's going to change. And so we are just going to talk about ways we can resist. This is what they said. We are just at a place of resistance. And this was one of the brilliant ideas they had. I'm being sarcastic. This did not happen, but someone actually proposed that people take buckets of water into the conference hall and throw them on the laptops of all the delegates as a protest. Just shut it down by destroying people's personal property, I guess. That never happened. That was one person's idea that was shot down. But that I tell that story as an example of the desperation that people were feeling. The desperation that all we were going to be able to do was just resist. That there was no way to defeat what was coming. And so it was that at Gather at the River, the local bishop came. His name was Bishop Jim Dorff. He had been from Dallas. And he was himself a moderate. He made some mistakes related to the LGBTQ community, in my opinion. But he was also, I knew him as a friend of North Haven. He was our district superintendent when we built this building. He was the person, and I can't emphasize this enough, the pastor in the system who encouraged us to build this place as a monument to progressive theology and LGBTQ people and their inclusion. And he told the church he hoped we would build it, and that that the general church needed us. Well, some years later, he is now the bishop in San Antonio, and this is what he gets. And look, I understand this. I totally understand. I completely and totally understand the aggravation, the frustration, the desperation of people in that moment. But what I saw was we were now even willing to turn on moderates out of our desperation. So I left Gather at the River in absolute desperation. In fact, I have a journal entry which I meant to pull out and read some of today. But the journal entry basically says, well, I'm back from Gather at the River. Nothing's going to happen next year. And I'm going to start doing same-sex weddings next year. And I guess I'm going to be defrocked. And I guess that will be all for nothing. This is where I was. This was my feeling in that moment at 2015. I could see this slow-moving train ready to collide. And so I ended up there in Espada thinking about the impending death of my father, deeply missing my mentor, Bill McIlvaney, carrying the deep feeling of frustration and hopelessness and desperation of the LGBTQ community and my own church that I served. And I just sat there and cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And I didn't think it was going to stop. I've never had a moment that deep. There's something about that set and setting, having gone down that trail and having it's the breathing in, the breathing out. It all fell away. I want to tell you what I prayed in that moment, because I think it's what we need to act. The moral of the story for me is we still need to act in our time, and I want to talk about that a bit more. But spiritually, we need to be ready to fall into tears when we need to. Just yesterday, I was journaling right here at this desk, just to my left. I was right here, and I was journaling, and I started crying then. I was just writing the words, which I've written, I don't even know how many times now. I can't believe this is where our nation is. That's all I wrote, was that. And I just, right here, just fell into tears just yesterday. Because our time feels like that time for me personally. Again, I don't want to equate all of it, but it does rhyme in a way that is super important. So what did I pray? I prayed almost like a serenity prayer. This is a form of prayer which I've developed, and I've talked to you about it before. It's a prayer that I call giving back to God. There are a lot of people who say they give things up to God. They imagine God up there, up in the heaven somewhere, in the outer atmosphere or past the moon or whatever. I mean, to me, God is everywhere. And I start with the understanding that this is God's world, that God moves in and through all things, even through the evil that we see in the world. There is no godless person or place or thing. So because it is God's world, when I am at the end of my rope, like they do in the serenity prayer, I give it back to God. And I literally imagine the thing as if it's in my hands. And I give it back to God. And so as I sat in Espada on that day, I gave Bill McIlvaney back to God. I gave my father back to God. He was dying, but he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to talk about the fact that he was going to be dead. And I knew he was going to be dead. So I gave him back, and all my grief of not being able to control him. I gave back my career. I said, God, if this is my path, so be it. I gave back the United Methodist Church. I gave back the conservatives. I gave back my own congregation. I gave back all those angry people that I'd just been with. I said, I can't control any of that. I can't control any of that. And I can't take the weight of all of it in my own soul. So I have to give it back, God. Help me understand what I can control and take back all that I cannot. So that's what I did. And it helped. It was, again, this is a form of prayer I've used many, many times. Now, what happened after this? Where did we go in the United Methodist Church? Well, it was a crazy 10 years. It was crazy ass. All sorts of things happened we couldn't have expected. We did continue to resist. At that general conference, all those people who said they were going to protest, they did indeed protest, and that was important. That was absolutely important. The witness to the harm that was being caused was important, deeply important. But What also happened is the conservatives kept turning the screws. And by 2019, they turned it one time too far. And the moderates woke up. And a whole new generation of younger leaders stepped up. Again, all these things outside my control. I did not control any of this. But it all happened. And thanks be to God that it happened. And I think about that a lot as I think about our nation right now. Because I think you, my guess, is you are in a place where you are likely crying the heaving tears of Espada over our nation. I cannot promise you that things are going to work out the way they worked out for the United Methodist Church, but I will say I often find that what happens in the Methodist Church rhymes with what's happening in the culture. They feel like parallel. Now, what also happened in that case was that the conservatives themselves decided to stop and to leave. It was a kind of a miracle of God, but by the way, they had already told us they wanted to. They told us in 2016, the next year after this, they told us they were ready to leave. I don't see that happening in the political process. I think the fascists that are gaining power want to keep power. I think they want to further and deepen that. So yes, it is 100% different there. But I do know that protest will continue to be important. I do know that witnesses, such as we did and Bill McIlvaney did, such as the people did on that day, such as Melvin Talbert did, such as Frank Schaeffer did, all these people made a difference, all these things. And the stories of actual LGBTQ people made a huge, huge difference. And eventually the church changed. Hearts changed. Minds changed. We have to pray for the same kind of work to be happening in our country. And we have to be willing to endure the hard times, to endure the times of Espada, the times of weeping when it does not feel like there is any hope. I cannot promise you that things are going to work out, but I can promise you that whether they work out or not, you need in your life sometimes where you give back things, where you release them, where you say, God, help me control the things I can control and give back the things I cannot control. Every week at Kessler Park now, we have a prayer and meditation group on Monday evenings that has been started specifically to help people deal with these difficult times and these very kind of things. So if you are close to us and you are interested, centering prayer is a type of prayer that's used by a lot of people, and I think you would find it helpful and meaningful to be a part of that. Bobby says this: I was following your Facebook page at that time and urging my daughter to contact you. Oh, that's very, very sweet. It was, it worked out. It worked out, but I didn't know it was going to work out. There was no evidence. No, I cannot emphasize this enough because we forget. Things happen, things change, and we look back and we say, oh, it was obvious that was going to work out. No, it was not obvious it was going to work out. In fact, it was going to get a lot worse before it got better. Many years ago, I wrote a song, which is in this book. Hang on, can I see it over here? I've played this song for you before. Free My Hands. It's inspired by this book, Friedman's Fables, by Edwin Friedman, the rabbi and therapist. One of my Desert Island books, along with Faces of the Enemy, which we talked about last week. Another Desert Island book. This is a brand new version that I just got in the mail. Oh, There's Yoda. Free My Hands is a song about letting go. It's a song about, I think this is probably where I got the idea of putting things in my hand and giving it back to God. In fact, I'm almost positive it is. But it's a song about a relationship where one half of the relationship wants it to work, but can't do it all on their own. So, let me play this song. Just was to confirm. Uh-oh. Looks like we're dropping out. Well, maybe I shouldn't play this song. Let me see if I can very quickly make my internet better. Hang on moments. Hang on, y'all. See if I can tell my family to get off. This is very exciting internet right now. I meant to do this earlier. I just got a warning that says my internet is slow. Well, now it says it's fine. You're lying. You're a bunch of liars. All right, but I can turn off some devices here. Pause for 30 minutes. Okay. I'm going to pause some devices. I hope I stay on for the rest of this. If not, it'll be on the new record. On the trail toward my destiny, it's been a long, hard road, but it's there just beyond the next tall ridge. That's when you're standing right in front of me, like there's nowhere to go. In the middle of this last suspension bridge, free my hands, free my hands. Well, I'm just telling you so you can understand. 'Cause you could pull up some from your end, we could walk this road as friends. But if you'll never try, I'll have to free my hands. And I did not pay attention when you handed me that rope with the end tied round your waist just out of sight. That's when I felt the funny tension and first thought it was a joke. When you jumped the bridge and shouted, hold on tight. Free my hands, free my hands. Well, I'm just telling you so you can understand. 'Cause you could pull up some from your end, we could walk this road as friends. But if you'll never try, I'll have to free my hands. And I cannot pull you up from here, the gravity's too great. There's no place I can tie this off or counter with my weight. And I say I'm getting tired and fear that help will come too late. When you scream that I'm responsible for your final fate. But there's still one other move, and it's still yours to choose when neither of us lose. So I'll give your choices back to you. I'm not cold or cruel. You could wrap up this rope around you from your side, and I will wait to see what you will do. You would not be a fool if you made the choice to reach your hand and try. Free my hands, free my hands. Well, I'm just telling you so you can understand. 'Cause you could pull up some from your end. We could walk this road as friends. But if you'll never even try, I'll always wonder why. There'll come the time when I will free my hands. That's the song Free My Hands by me. I am pleased to tell you that just this week, late at night, I've been staying up too late working on this record, getting things cleaned up. And just this week, I can tell you now that I have been able to recover and piece together some beautiful tracks, some piano work from Tim McLemore. But the most crucial gold are some vocal tracks by a woman named Rachel Bissix. Rachel died some 2 years after these recordings, and I've been holding them ever since, and it'll be on the record. And I can now confirm I've finally found the old tracks, these old CDs, and been able to remaster in a way that is beautiful and everything I ever wanted it to be. I cannot believe this is happening. So that will be on Unfinished Business. That will be one of the songs on Unfinished Business. The record from me that will be coming out soon. Unfinished Business. Let me see what you're saying here. Bobby says this from the story The Bridge. Yes, exactly. I tell that story many times when appropriate. It's a great story. It's a great story. And let me just say, as we're finishing up, and I know we're running a bit long today, one of the things that Friedman points out about that story is that it works in so many different ways. It can be between you and the actual physical human other. It can be between you and different parts of yourself. Oh. Sometimes we are the person on the bridge, and sometimes we are the one who we're fighting with ourselves. And I do think it can be a symbol of our giving back to God, giving things back and saying, I cannot deal with this. By the way, in the story The Bridge, as it ends, I think Bobby will remember this, it ends with the guy on the bridge saying what I say in the song, I give your choices back to you. I'm not cold or cruel. You could wrap up this rope around you from your side, from down, hanging down. You can help lift yourself up. I will hold you. I'm not going to let go, but you have to do something. And the other decides not to. And the person on the bridge says, okay, I accept your choice, and frees their hands. So the song is in the one step before that. It's in that tension of the final moments. What's going to happen? It's never guaranteed that anything's going to happen specifically, one way or the other. Either choice, it's like Schrodinger's box. Either choice is possible in that moment. Give it back to God, Janie Henderson says. Thank you, I needed that instruction. James Myers says this, one of my project friends got a DWI number 2, a couple of weeks ago. The most useful thing was a country singer with similar issues. You know, whatever it works, whatever works to help people understand that they are in that moment. So as we said, that is Free My Hands. It's a very old song. It's one of, and yes, Larry is saying he is hearing echoes of TPR here. Sure, absolutely. Definitely the case. He was an influence back in those days and always. And that is really many people's favorite song of mine. I just have never put it out. Never, because I've been waiting. I really wanted these tracks to work out, and they did. All right, friends, just a reminder, Kessler Park, we got a lot going on. We're very excited about our anniversary time coming up. Get your tickets now for the 19th, the big picnic lunch, but also be with us on this Sunday as Reverend Keith Boone is our guest preacher. That's going to be amazing. We have a great time at Kessler Park. Every Sunday is beautiful and inspiring and hopeful, I think, even when we're talking about tough stuff. We were talking about picking up your cross this Sunday, which is another form of saying all of this, by the way. I meant to mention that. This is kind of a story of picking up your cross. You don't have to go looking for a cross today. You don't have to go find one. If you are standing up for justice, if you're doing the right thing, your cross will come to you, and you will grieve over this world of ours. James says this, singer, he had useful info, nice guy, knows no local layers, has a bottle problem, knows all the local layers, writer, better song. I'm sorry, James, I can't interpret that. I'll give it back to you. Has the bottle problem. I think I understand what that means. All right, friends, thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for staying with us. I'm going to finish the rest of my coffee. Get on with some very busy days. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we ran long, but I had a lot to say. I had that story. I am writing that story up as an essay, about a third of the way through it. This helped me. I'll get to that and publish that soon. Thank you to all of you for being here. Tell your friends. Tell them to join us live. Subscribe here at Winnie F. Talks. Tell them to subscribe to Winnie F. Talks so they'll get the notice and they can come and join us live on a Tuesday morning. Until next week, breathe in, breathe out, and we'll see you then, okay? Bye-bye.